This is Trash Talk with your host, Garrett the Trash Man.
What is up, everybody? This is Garrett the Trash Man, your host, Trash Talk, Fire Friday. John, what's up?
Dude, I'm just here to have a good time, a grand old day.
A grand old day. Oh, dude, I got another disco light going on over there.
Yeah, it'll stop, and then Tyler will go to replace it, and then it'll stop, so he doesn't, and then it starts up again.
I don't think the electrical was done very well in this building, but that's just my opinion. All right, Larson Waste, thank you for sponsoring this podcast, this Fire Friday. And it's time to go. And you know what? I'll go first.
Do a tour.
All right, so this is what I got. So, and I just got to say it because I got to pull this off and I got to post it. But I am so baffled right now at the straw man that's being created over this fellow that was killed in Minneapolis. I was like, I cannot be on social media last night because I was getting so fired up because literally everyone is posting about it, which is totally fine. But what I don't understand is the post about it is like self-righteous, calling other people saying they're not like mad enough. Like, if you're not mad about this, then you're being an American wrong. And I'm like, what is this straw man being built? No one is saying it's okay for this cop to have killed this guy. I don't understand. I'm completely baffled by it. I'm like, you guys are arguing with no one. The argument that you have, no one is against. Everyone saw it and everyone said, wow, that's a really bad cop and a group of cops that did it wrong. Let's hold them all accountable. They were fired within 24 hours, and with 24 hours, a FBI investigation was started into it to prosecute the police officers involved. And it's like, okay, like, Where's the issue? Where's the straw man where you're like, hey, you guys, you're not outraged enough? And you're like, well, no, I'm outraged. Like, yeah, 90% of cops are great people, and we give police officers an enormous amount of power in our society, so we have to be super vigilant about when they misbehave. And it's like turned into this. I'm like, that guy may be racist, may not be. From the video, there's nothing that shows he's racist. That shows he's a stupid, bad cop. I don't see anything about race. And, like, I don't know. I was baffled last night. Absolutely baffled because everyone out of the woodworks, like.
It's so true. People where I'm like, this is like the first time you've even cared about something like this, and all of a sudden you're like an expert on it. Like, listen, I'm not disagreeing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No one's. I've yet to find the person that's like, no, that guy
was right.
The cop was right to kill that guy. No one's saying that. but yeah, people are like, no, you're not pissed enough. You're like, no, like, listen, like, what is supposed to happen? Systematic change has to happen. The system's working. Someone misbehaved in a horrific way.
Yep.
Punishment was dealt out, and deeper investigation is happening. Like that. Like how fast you want them fired within 24 hours is incredibly fast.
Yeah.
Like I almost am like, whoa. They should have maybe suspended and investigated
and then fired,
because that's how like our justice system works. But I mean, it is pretty cut and dry. That guy was just being either a total asshole or totally belligerent. And one thing I want to remind everyone: we're all one mistake away from being in that same guy's shoes.
Oh, absolutely. That guy may have been a great cop up until that very moment.
Yeah. He also could be a horrible racist piece of shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or he could not be racist and have been a horrible, crappy, idiot cop that let power go to his head the whole time. I don't know, and you don't know. So, like,
most importantly, you don't know.
Well, that's the thing. I'm like,
we don't know.
Yeah. So this, I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with business, but I was absolutely baffled last night. I'm like, no one's arguing with you. and the one thing, a name that probably no one knows, and I can't even, it may or may not be right. I think it's Michael Thomas. Probably no one knows. Very similar situation. Homeless guy in L.A. got beat to death by 3 really shitty cops. Should not have been beaten to death. He was resisting a little bit. They got control, but then they went way over the line and beat him to death. No one heard about it. Didn't hear a peep about it, except for local people around LA, and that's just extreme. And you know what? Probably doesn't matter in either of those cases. The races
Yeah.
of the victims.
Yeah.
I mean, in the case in California, the guy happened to be white. In the case in Minneapolis, the guy happened to be black. In both of those, as we see it now, there's no evidence of like that it was race. Race was the reason that either of those police officers went over the line.
Yeah.
But because the media pushed one and didn't push the other, there's the outrage.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to say that like I'm not outraged that that happens, but I'm just as outraged that it happened to the fella in LA as it did in the fella in Minneapolis. But you know what? In both cases, the system did what it was supposed to do. The freaking police officers were fired, investigated, and prosecuted.
Yep.
And there are places where that hasn't happened, or instances where that hasn't happened. And it's like, yeah, we're all on the same team fighting that. That's horrible.
Yeah.
So why is there? I don't know. I guess to wrap it up, I feel like there's like people reaching and trying to make a divide on something we're all united with.
Yeah.
Like that was a shitty thing. That cop was in the wrong. Take care of that system.
It's like they're trying to make a divide on who agrees more.
Yeah.
It's like what?
Well, and I had a couple
side.
people that's like, oh, if you're not outraged, you're just as racist as the people doing it. And I'm like, okay, like that's pretty over the line, because like you screaming on Facebook does absolutely nothing for that person. Like absolutely nothing. Also, rioting does nothing, because that's where I start to get upset. I'm like, okay, these people aren't actually upset over what happened here to this poor guy, because looting Target doesn't solve that. It does not help that. It makes people turn against you and say, wow, those people are way out of line, and takes the attention off what had happened to these people are being freaking animals. And yeah, I don't know. I was kind of shook last night. I was like, because it was people that like, I don't know. Usually, I feel
Or level-headed people.
are level-headed people, and I'm like, dude, I don't know why the way you're posting this, you're posting this as if everyone disagrees with you. No one disagrees with you.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've said it 15 times now, so I'll shut up. But the other thing, I've got a couple. You got all the time in the world, because I finished the book, John Huntsman. Again, I'm just going to recommend it. Incredible. Barefoot to Billions. Thank you for recommending that, John, because what an inspiring book. So many great things. Just so inspiring to read about someone that lives life in a committed way.
So I was talking with Tyler a little bit about the book before this, and there are certain people's life histories and experiences that I think everyone can say, those certain people's stories really resonate with him. And there's just something about his story that, like, I can't get enough.
Mm-hmm.
It just, like, I think I told Tyler, I think this is time like 6 or 7, maybe even 8, that I've listened to that book. And I only ran into it like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And it is just, it's so inspiring, and the amount of love he had for life
Mm-hmm.
and for others, and his generosity, and just his ability to create and hardly not even notice it.
Yeah, the fearlessness that he went after it
Yeah.
too. And like, I'm just like, man, I loved it. It reminded me of the Jordan documentary that I haven't gone all the way through, but like I felt like those two people had the same mindset. It was like, no, like I'm here to be a champion. Like in Jordan's, that meant winning NBA titles. In his, it meant freaking slaying it in business.
Yeah.
It was like, no, doesn't matter. Like it's either be a champion or die. Like
Yeah.
and those are the only two things that are going to happen.
Like, one of my biggest motivating factors in life is I want to be able to, at the end of my life, like, I know I'm going to make an unlimited amount of mistakes in my life. Like I'm cool with that. I get it. I understand it. Like I know it's going to happen. I just don't want to have regrets for not putting forth effort.
Yeah, sitting there twiddling the thumbs. Oh, it always would have been a good idea to do that. Oh, I had thought about doing that, but I didn't. Oh, I was scared. I didn't want to lose what I had.
And I just, the way they lived their lives, like, I guarantee you they were able to say, you know, I made tons of mistakes, wished I would have done things differently, but like, I'm willing to bet they had very few regrets.
Yeah. Well, he says that in his book. And he didn't even say, I wish I would have done things differently. He was like, man, if I could live it all over again in a heartbeat, all right. That, like, life has been exhilarating.
Yeah.
And
that's the kind of life I want to live.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I would much rather go for a freaking ride that's just, like he says, exhilarating. Like, it sounds so much more exciting to me to lose everything in an effort of building and start all back over at an older age than to float along at mediocre for my whole life and kind of just float away into nothing.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
It's much more exciting to just go for it. And that's what I learned. So, like, there was gaps in it that I'm, like, baffled still. But, like, I'm like, he just went out and made it happen. It wasn't like, oh, X, Y, and Z has to. I love what he says is, like, I didn't worry about funding. If the deal was right, it would get funded. And so it was like, and I can see that in my business where it's like, oh, man, I need a landfill. Like, okay. I've always stayed away from, oh, it's so expensive. How am I going to do that? Screw that. Go build, find it, look at if it's right, it'll get funded. We'll figure it out. And I love how creative he is around that too.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, like we just knew what we needed, and we were just relentless about finding a way to get it done.
And he says it like, I'm about 2/3 of the way done through on this one, and he's literally, I don't know how many times in the book he says, to me, no is the beginning of the conversation. Mm-hmm. Probably a dozen times already he's said that. And like he just says it throughout the book. Like to him, no on what he asked for was just the beginning of the conversation. Mm-hmm. And he said like, I prefer to get mad and not get even and get over it and find the solution after that.
Yeah, which that hit me at a perfect time, dude, because I feel like the town manager of Snowflake kind of stiffed me a little bit. I got mad. And I was mad about it. And now it's like, okay, yeah, done. I don't need to get even. Because I thought about getting even in a couple different ways. And I'm like, no. Like, man, apparently he didn't think our relationship was the same that I did. I'm mad about it. That's fine. Now I'll move on.
Yeah.
And, yeah. It's just good stuff, dude.
Dude, I can't say enough about how much I love that book. And just the experiences that he had and how he put them into words are just so incredible.
Phenomenal. It really is. All right, John. Well, I ranted for like 15 minutes there.
It was good stuff,
just
dude.
Over here and there. One other thing I got to recommend, Kevin Hart. Love that guy, man. I just love the crap he puts out. Like, I feel like I'm buddies with him. Maybe that's why he's so big, because he's got the ability to make you feel like he's your buddy.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I could show up and Kevin Hart would be there, and it wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, like, let me introduce myself. I'd be like, Kevin, what's up, man? It's good to see you, because I feel like I know him. And I think that's what he does that's so incredible. But anyway, all the podcasts he's done with Joe Rogan are awesome.
Yeah.
He just did another one that, yeah, is definitely worth a listen.
Joe Rogan's a funny dude.
Yeah, he is.
He makes me laugh. So my rant is kind of tied to what we've talked about, and it's kind of interesting that you ranted about that. Because I've been listening to things recently that kind of made me have a realization of it. But, like, a lot of people will talk about how, like, our emotions or, like, the quality or how we experience things is kind of what surmises the experience of our life.
Yeah, all we're ever experiencing is our thoughts is our thoughts.
And one thing I'd like to say is, like, be passionate about things. I think that pouring passion and meaningfulness and a desire to really, to steal your term, Garrett, put a stake in the ground on certain things that you feel are important in life. I think that really helps kind of root us. You know, there's certain things in life that if we were, when we really take a stand on them and say, that, you know, this is where I stand on this, I think it helps us really understand, you know, like who we are. And so, yeah, that's kind of my rant. It's very short, sweet, and simple. Be passionate about things, whatever it is, whatever that really resonates with you. Be passionate about those things and really make a stand for them, because it really will enhance your experience. Who is it that I think it was Winston Churchill said, if there's never people that don't like you, it means you never stood for something, or something along those lines. And I was just like, man. Or maybe it's, if people never dislike you, it means you never fought for anything, or something along those lines. But anyways, that's the concept of it. So yeah, be passionate about things.
Get after it.
Love it.
All right. Appreciate you guys listening. Share the podcast with everyone. I mean, everyone you see. Just be like, yo, listen to Trash Talk. Yo, listen to Trash Talk. Everyone you see, just tell them. Appreciate you guys listening. Peace.